How y'all doing this evening? Hold on 1 minute. Okay. Uh, I just want to talk to y'all for a minute because it's something that come to me while I was praying, and I was really debating whether to take and give it or not, because I know that God is starting to help me to understand why it's so hard for me to get free from certain things, and why it's so hard for certain people in my family that I love to get free of things, and why it's so hard, period, for people to get free of things in church. I'm starting more and more to come to the realization that a lot of these men and women of God are allowing certain spirits to operate in their church because they don't want to lose members, or they letting the people that they know operating these spirits be there because they use them for do certain things. I'm just starting to find out just a whole lot of different stuff now. Because God started warning me about the spirit of Jezebel. I got saved in my shower in 2008, December the 22nd. And it wasn't nothing but a few months later where he started to speak to me about the spirit of Jezebel and about women using that knowledge that they used back in the slavery days on the slave masters, because the evil that the slave master was doing to them and their people. So they would use certain knowledge and stuff on them, certain voodoo and witchcraft and whatnot. And it was coming to me how the women were still holding on to that knowledge, still holding on to them old ways and using it on the men now. And he was warning me about this spirit of Jezebel. And this, I had only been saved for a few months, so I didn't know what Jezebel was. I didn't know nothing about witchcraft and sorcery like it was how it was coming to me. So it took me a while to understand what that meant. It took me a while to understand what the spirit of SARS means. SARS means SARS is a familiar spirit, or a spirit of infirmity. It took me a while to understand that. Uh, and the more and more I battle and fight with this spirit lately, the more and more I'm starting to understand that the spirit is deeply embedded in a whole lot of churches, and you would never know it unless God was to show you stuff in spirit realm, unless you was to be seeking them to the point where you're seeking them about the particular thing because you know there's something ain't right. By God speaking to me about the spirit of Jezebel and women using and hold on to them old ways and cliques in the church and stuff, he started off speaking to me about that stuff. And I really didn't understand none of them, and I didn't have nobody to talk to. And then people that I talked to, when they knew that I didn't understand certain stuff, they would take and use that to take and manipulate me because they knew that at that particular time God was working with me. See, I didn't understand none of that, but other people did, and it's sad to say a lot of people in my family understood it. You know what I mean? And the enemy was allowed to use them for particular things. But the more and more I come to understand how deeply embedded the spirit of Jezebel and this Python spirit, how deeply embedded it is in the church, in people in leadership, and how most leaders allow certain stuff to happen. You know what I mean? The more and more I'm finding out or coming to understand why we are where we at right now in the body of Christ, in the church, and in this country. Uh, so let me read this first, because I've been forgetting the last time, a few times I got on here about reading what I was told to read. I was told to read this whenever I give a message. So let me let me go to Isaiah chapter 6, verse 1 and 9. Okay, it's coming to me now 1 and 8, but I was told 1 and 9. So I'm just going ahead. If it's God talking to him, he'll make it known. Okay. It says in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 1 to 8. I'm going to read 1 to 8. In the years that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon the throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood the cherubims. Each one had 6 wings. With twine he covered his face, and with twine he covered his feet, and with twine he did fly. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the posts of the door moved at the voice of him that cried. And the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then flew one of the sheriffs unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongues from the altar. Forgive me. And he laid it upon my mouth and said, Lo, this has touched thy lips, and thy iniquities is taken away, and thy sins purged. Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, Here am I, send me. So I'm going to stop there. Now we're going to go to Ezekiel chapter 3, and we're going to read from verse 1 to verse 5. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest. Eat this roll, and go and speak unto the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowls with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. And he said unto me, Son of man, go, get thee unto the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. For thou art not sent to a people of strange speech and of hard language, but to the house of Israel. So he making it clear that y'all are people that understand the language, and that y'all are people that can comprehend and receive what's being told to me. Okay, so let me just get off into what come to me. Okay, today's date is 3/26/2024. Okay, 6:34. It's 6:34 p.m. As I prayed, it came to me that many will come to understand the warning he gave me to give them all those years ago from Ezekiel 33:11. So let me read Ezekiel 33:11. Let's let his word speak. Okay, Ezekiel 33:11. Say unto them, As I live, said the Lord God, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his ways and live. Turn ye from your evil ways, for why will you die, O house of Israel? Okay, so I done read that. So again, today's date, 3/26/2024, 6:34 p.m. was when my prayer ended. As I prayed, it came to me that many will come to understand the warning he had me to give them all those years ago from Ezekiel 33:11. I done read it. I then began to see 4 doors open inwardly. So you know how when you open your door, you open your door outwardly, going outside, okay? But these doors open inwardly. The doors open inwardly, okay? and they sealed themselves to the dark walls. They infused themselves into it. So the doors basically become the walls where they melted into it, okay? Or fused themselves into them, okay? Okay, after that, the darkness, okay, let me back up. I then began to see 4 doors open inwardly and sealed themselves to the dark walls within. After this darkness came out of the 4 out of the 4 doors or the 4 doorways in 4 and went in 4 different directions. Okay, after this doors open, they fused themselves to the walls or whatever was there, and then darkness come from up out of the 4 doorways that was open, and it went in 4 different, and the darkness went in 4 different directions. Okay. I then said, please, Lord, forgive me. I then asked Father Elohim to forgive me again if I am wrong about this with President Trump, or if I'm speaking wrongly about this with President Trump. I then said unto him, I don't want to be speaking against him if it's him that's backing him. I was told, if it was him that was backing him, because I was basically letting them know, look, I know I can't win a battle between you, and I know if I go against anybody that you backing, then I would do nothing but find myself in a lot of trouble. It's basically what the conversation was and the thing that I was saying. I then was told he was not reaching. Okay, he was not reaching Daniel chapter 4, the last verse. Basically, I'm trying to write it like it was coming to me, because it was basically saying that he had not reached Daniel. Okay, that he had not reached Daniel chapter 4, the last verse yet. Now, Daniel chapter 4, the last verse, let me read it. I was told he had not reached Daniel chapter 4, the last verse. So now we're going to Daniel chapter 4, the last verse, which is 37. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praised and exalted and honored the King of heaven, all whose works are truth, and his ways judgment. And those that walk in pride, he is able to abase. So I was told that he had not reached Daniel chapter 4, the last verse yet. Okay, let me make sure. Okay, Daniel chapter 4, the last verse yet. He's still at Daniel chapter 4, verse 21 to 23. And this is where it kind of bothered me a little bit, but I understand this is where a person needs to go and read before you get to Daniel 21 and 23 to get the fullness of what's really been said. But I was given Daniel chapter 21 to 23. So if you read Daniel chapter 4, verse 21, it says, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowl of the heavens had their inhabitants. It's real important. And upon whose branches the fowl of the heavens had their inheritance. So this is something that's real fruitful, because even the fowls of heaven is up on the branches here, okay? And then verse 22, it is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for the greatness is grown, and reaches unto the heavens. For the greatness is grown and reaches unto the heaven. Now pay attention. And thy dominion to the ends of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher and a holy one coming down from heaven and saying, hew the tree down, hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a brand of iron and brass in the tender grass of the fields, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, real important, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times passes over. So it started off by telling me that he had not reached Daniel chapter 4, verse 37 yet. And then it come to me that he was still in Daniel chapter 4, verse 21 to 23. So if you go back and you read from the beginning, God gave the king a dream, and in his dream it was a warning about things that, he was going to come to do, which would be things that would cause God to take and let him end up being like a beast, or like someone just all out of control. And how God would take and cut him down, or cause him to be where he can't take and do the things he was doing before. Read it yourself. This same chapter that came to me back in 2020, when I was receiving about President Trump. Same chapter, okay? And back in 2019 and 2018, when I was trying to warn him and warn y'all about anybody but Joe Biden. So I'm sitting up here saying to myself, okay, if this God, and he's speaking to me, and he's revealing these things to me, you know what I mean? Why is it so hard for me to get it out? And why is I'm fighting and battling so much? When I see all these other men and women of God that's supporting it, some of these men and women of God that's supporting him are people that I admire. I mean, really admire. And I'm kind of messed up because I'm seeing this last verse that I was guided to. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing the spirit of pride, rather, at work. Not just on one side, but on both sides. So I'm sitting up there saying to myself, something ain't right. Something is wrong. And then I know that sometimes God will use the things that we think he wouldn't use, to let us know we don't know everything. So I'm sitting up there saying to myself, I don't want to be going against you, Lord. I voted for him twice because I know that spirit was trying to get in the White House. Okay? But people didn't listen. The spirit is dead. Okay? But will God take and put a spirit that's even as bad in there to get rid of the other spirit? I don't know. God does things that we don't understand. So I'm trying to understand it. So I'm asking him, because I don't want to be going against him. You can't win a fight against God. Sooner or later, you're going to win. You're going to lose. And I don't want to be on the losing end. Neither do I want to be going against what he's doing. But I'm being guided back to 21 and 23. So that lets me know that I have to take and read before then and then what comes after that to get the understanding. And the understanding of it, if you go and read it, Daniel was telling him what it means. Let's go to verse 27. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be accepted unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness. Break off thy sins. He's letting them know that you sin it. Break off thy sins by righteousness, and thy iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, by doing right by others. If it may be a lengthening of tranquility, verse 28, all this came up on the king Nebuchadnezzar. All this come up on the king Nebuchadnezzar because he wouldn't listen to the counsel of Daniel, okay, or take heed to the warnings. Then this will come afterwards. Verse 28, all this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. Verse 29, at the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. Verse 30, the king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power, by the might of my power, and for the honor of my majesty. I'm going to stop right there. Okay? I really should have started from verse 24 and came down, but I done read 28, 29, 30, and I stopped right there by his power and his majesty. We need to pay attention to some of the things that's being said and being spoken. Now, let me go back to verse 24 because this is where I should have stayed. Verse 24 says, this is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my Lord, the king. He acknowledged him as king, acknowledged that God got it to be. Verse 25, that they shall drive thee from men, that they should drive, okay, let me go back. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High God, which is come upon my Lord the king. Verse 25, that they should drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heavens, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou knowest that the Most High ruleth in the kingdoms of men, and to thy realize, until thou know, let's say it right, till thou know that the Most High rules in the kingdoms of men, and give it to whomever he will. And wherever the commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, the kingdom shall be sure unto thee. After that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. Okay? These things should be given unto you after thou realize that it's not you that's doing all this, but God. Not you pretending like you. Okay? Let me let that go, because Anyway. I'm asking God. I'm pleading with God. Lord, I'm seeing all these men that I admire so. Because when I seen that Marcus Rogers post what he posted today, someone else that I respect, and how he posted how Donald Trump was standing there with a Bible. This is my heart. This is what gives me and many people life, even though a lot of people reject it. This word is life. This word is an eternity. And I'm seeing Donald Trump stand there with it, and I'm seeing men and women of God that I know love God taking, reposting him, taking and doing it. So I'm asking the Lord, you know how I feel. Am I not receiving this, or is my discernment not working right? I said, I know what I'm feeling. I know what I keep on picking up. You know, talk to me. I don't want to fight against you. And I'm pleading with him. I don't want to fight against you. I voted for Donald Trump in 2016. I voted for Donald Trump in 2020, even after you had me warning. I know what you revealed to me about anybody but Joe Biden. I know what you revealed to me about Kamala Harris. But I don't want to fight against you. Because I realized why this was allowed to happen with Biden. And people still ain't even paying attention to that. It was allowed for a reason that we still haven't grasped yet. Just like all this going on right now is happening for a reason that we still ain't grasped yet. Y'all don't see the spirit of manipulation and Jezebel at work. Y'all don't see the spirit of pride working in the country, working in leadership, working in certain ways. It's right out there where the spirit of pride is thumping his nose, taking a branch, like what's mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 17. Y'all don't see this? Just like I told my ex-pastor, Pastor Grant, and people in Bible study one day, I told him, I know evil. I did evil all my life. For 42 years before I got saved, I was doing evil. Walking in lust, walking in greed, walking in I got to get mine. I know evil. Will God take and let evil prevail to get his point across? Yes. But at the same time, he lets that happen. He lets it happen to take and teach a lesson. And for every African American in this country, please go and read Ezekiel chapter 16. I'm going to read the first few verses, then I'm going to get ready to get off of here. Ezekiel chapter 16. I just want to read the first 5, 6 verses somewhere in there. I know when to stop when I get to it. It won't be no more than 5 or 6 verses. But I need y'all to understand this. And the person that preaches this the best is Bishop Gilbert G. Patterson. And if I find that sermon, I'm going to repost it because he preaches this. Okay, Ezekiel chapter 16, verse, I'm going to say 6 or 7, okay? Now watch, look what the Lord is saying. Chapter 16, verse 1. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations. Cause Jerusalem to know her abominations. And say, Thus said the Lord God unto Jerusalem, the birth and the negativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy fathers were an Amorite, and thy mothers a Hittite. Verse 4, and as for the negativity, in the days thou was born, thy neighbor was not cut, neither was thou washed in the waters to supply thee. Thou was not sorted at all, nor swaddled at all. Verse 5, none I pitied you, or no one pitied you, to do any of these unto thee, to have compassion upon thee. But thou was cast out in the open field to the loathing of the person in the day that thou was born. And when I passed by thee and saw thee polluted in thy own blood, and said unto thee when thou was in thy blood, live. Ye, I said unto thee when thou was in thy blood, live. When our ancestor was being beaten and whipped and blood was all over everywhere, being killed, being brung over on slave ships and dying on the way and thrown overboard to the sharks for meat to eat. when we was constantly beaten and just overlooked and mistreated. He looked up on us even after we was the reasons why we was over here, because our own people was selling us. Our own people was turning our backs, because there's no way that they could have went over in Africa and conquered Africa. No way. They had to have help from our own people. And God had already warned us in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 67 or 68. He had already warned us. Okay? But after all this happened, he looked up on us and brought us up out of that. And now we're right back doing the same thing again, rebelling against him. Not taking and doing right. And that goes for some of you, you people that's Europeans, that when your ancestors first come over here, they was indentured slaves too. It's for y'all too. And it's for y'all that God took and gave the freedom from England and all the other places that had them enslaved. For you Indians too, the ones that was conquered, by the wicked and evil people in the land stone. For y'all too. God has reached out to all of us. All of us. And brung us from up out of there, but we're still going back to doing the same thing. Same thing. We know the things that's going on, and what we're doing, a lot of us is taking embracing the wrong, instead of us saying no, period, and doing what's right. Now, I was sitting up there saying to myself, okay, what if this is not God? What if this is maybe Democrats trying to manipulate me against the Republicans? Thought about that. Then I said to myself, if it ain't God, then why are certain other things lining up? So that brought me to this right here. Today's date, 3/26/2024. I get reminded about what happened 4 days ago in Russia, or on the 22nd of Russia. On the 22nd of this month that happened in Russia. Forgive me, I'm saying it the wrong way. I get reminded of that. It was 4 men. It was 4 men that took and killed over 100 people in that theater. 4 men. Now I need y'all to pay attention to this. 4 days later, here in the United States, a bridge collapsed called Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. 4 days later, it happens. So now you have this happening on the 22nd in Russia. 22 breaks down to 4. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 men caused this. You have another 4. 4 days later, this happened in America. Y'all need to get this. Here it is, we got the 444 showing up. The last 4 showed up today on the 26th. 26 breaks down to 8. 8 means beginning. Okay? Pay attention to the stuff that's happening. That's the main key bridge. And then they even got in there Francis Scott Key Bridge. We know that we need a key to open and close the door. I seen 4 doors open. They inverted in and sealed themselves. And dark mist came up out of going in 4 directions. I'm being told the person that everybody right now, mostly everybody right now, is elevating, making him a king, and just some of the stuff that I'm seeing some of these men and women of God do, I'm sitting up there saying to myself, now that right there, I believe that God will use me, God do it, but that right there that's worshiping the man. And it scared me. It scared me because these people that I respect, I'm seeing men and women of God that everything that they doing evolve. And I'm trying not to make the same mistake. I don't want every time I get on, I have to say something about Donald Trump or Joe Biden. Because something ain't right with that. But every time I look on there, I'm seeing somebody that I admire talking about him. I'm asking, Lord, why you ain't talking to me? Shoot, I love you too. If it's you that's doing it, I don't want to be fighting against you. And I'm pleading, man. And at the same time, something in me is crying out. Something ain't right about this whole thing on both sides. And then we ain't even able to see people that truly stand for what's right and love this country. Even me, I couldn't see Mike Pence in the way that I'm seeing him now. That's a real man of God who truly fears God. That's a man that truly loves this country. Listen to how he talk. He went and prayed before he said anything about him not endorsing Donald Trump. Then he said, don't line up with the things that we initially. Go watch it. When he prayed. When he knew that something was wrong, he didn't go along with it. And I wasn't listening. I admit I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention until now. Now, can God be behind this with Donald Trump? And I'm not paying attention, I'm not here? Yes. That's why I'm pleading. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm trying to hear. But I'm seeing people that I know that love God too, seeing some of the things I'm seeing. It's just not all the ones that I want for them to step up and speak so I would know. And I know what I'm saying right now might sound kind of confused. I don't want to confuse you. What I'm saying to y'all, we need to start paying attention and listening. We need to really come together, truly come together and ask God, Lord, if this is you, let us know so we can get behind. We don't need to fight against, because right now ain't the time for us to be fighting against what the Lord wants to do. It's time for us to be with it, with what he's doing. It's some stuff getting ready to come our way, and most of the people in this country ain't ready and prepared for it. People laugh at these people that be living on greed and stuff. They the ones that's ready. They know how to survive. Oh, is it really going to get that bad? Might not be right now. Both of us a couple of years from now, 3 years from now. Is y'all ready? Is we ready? No. Most people not. God been speaking to me for years about we don't have enough hospitals here. I've been wondering that stuff like we don't have enough doctors. And I'm sitting up and saying like, I know this country prepared. But I'm noticing it's taking me 3-4 months to get an appointment with my doctor. Then a lot of times I end up having to see another doctor. 3, 4 months. And sometimes when I call, it says already booked. I'm just saying, what the hell is? They're going to try to make appointments with certain stuff. I'm seeing it. And if something bad real happen, most of the people that's on medication, including me, we wouldn't have access to getting no medication after 3 months. They ain't really got nothing set up. They might have some stuff stored away, but everybody ain't going to have access to it. We need to start thinking about all of this. First ones that's going to fall. First ones that's going to pay. And most of them are elderly people. Need y'all to hear what I'm saying. Because if I'm wrong about Biden or Trump, either way, this right here what I'm speaking on is a fact. And it's being revealed. Do we get somebody that's running, that's talking about preparing for that kind of stuff? Because this country, when it comes to its prideful nature against China and Russia, we think we all that in a bag of chips, and we done let both of them, be almost more prepared than we are. I didn't know that China was taking and building they Navy up in the way that they was doing and was producing nuclear warheads like that. I'm not going to just keep on, because I didn't want this to end up being like this. But I've been talking to y'all since 2020 about the 444. I messed up on in 2020. I thought it was referring to something that Hank Kunneman and the other prophet was talking about, but I'm finding out it don't have anything to do with that. All this year, I've been speaking to y'all about the 444. Hey, what's up, nephew? Love you. Oh, yeah. All this year, it's been speaking and speaking and speaking. Look how I keep on showing up. I done showed y'all the 444 in Daniel chapter 4. I mean, and Daniel chapter 9, I believe it was. When I was taking and showing that. This right here is point right to 4. The last 4 shows up next year in 2025. I've shown y'all the year 2025 in main stuff, and I can show y'all some more years. Do y'all know that Ezekiel chapter 9 verse 4, it got the year 5784 in it. It got the year 5786 in it, 5787, 5788, but it don't have the year 5785 in it. Why? And what do Ezekiel chapter 9 verse 4 say? What does Ezekiel chapter 9 verse 4? What did it say? Ezekiel chapter 9 verse 4. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sight and that cry for all the abomination that be done in the midst thereof. Again, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sight and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Abomination, wrong, evil. Set a mark up on them. Anyway, I've been on here too long. Didn't expect for it to be too long. I hope that I covered all the main things. That happened in Russia happened on 3/22 of 24. This with the bridge happened on 3/26/24. You get a 4 with the 4 men. You get the 4 with the 22, and then you get 4 days in between the 22 and the 22nd. And then when you break down the date of the 26th, you get the number 8. Now, here it is where you get confirmation to this. Out of the 3 folds, you get the number 12, right? Now watch this. 22 breaks down to 4. Let's go with the day. 22 breaks down to 4. And 26 breaks down to 8. 4 and 8 is 12. Giving confirmation right there. So each time you get 12, then you get 3. The last 3 of the 333 shows up in 5786 of September. At the same time, the last 4 shows up. 4 and 3 or 3 and 4 is 7. That's the end of the first 7 of the message that I've been trying to give y'all about the 2 pairs of 7. The second 7 stars then. Anyway, I'm going to get over here. We need to be praying, and we need to be doing the right thing by God and His Word. We don't need to be playing with this. This is not anything to play with. This is life. This is to guide us. This is to help us. Anybody that's playing with this in any kind of way ain't a child of God. Anybody that's doing it ain't a child of God. They're a child of Satan. Plain and simple. This is life. Read this and I'm gone. I promise you this. John chapter 1, verse 1 to 4. I've been reading it lately. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was God. The Word was God. And the Word was God. So it's saying again, said the Word the Word was with God. Forgive me. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So the Word was in the beginning and was with God and was God. Okay, and the Word was God. Okay, verse 2. The same was in the beginning with God. So the Word always was with God in the beginning. All things was made by Him. All things was made by Him. And without Him was not anything that was made. What did He do in the beginning? He spoke out. He said, okay. Verse 4. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men. Okay, in Him was life, and the life was the light of men. What was God coming from for the light of man? The true treasure that He put in man. Now, here's where you can really get, and I've been reading this all this year, and I even did something about 6-7 years ago on this when I was trying to reveal to y'all how 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 3 related to Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, when He was talking about let there be light. Today, God let it speak to me a little bit more and caught me all the way off guard, because when I did this back then, I didn't see this. Now, let's read 1 Samuel chapter 3. And 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 3. Let's read it. And ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord. Is y'all listening to this? And ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord. Talking about a physical lamp that was lit to shine the light on the ark. Y'all catch physical light. Ooh, y'all need. Ooh, I just got myself, so I can't talk about y'all. I've been reading this all this year. A physical light that they had in the temple, okay, where the ark of God was. Because it says that where the ark of God was, they got this lamp. And this lamp went out in the place where the ark was. Okay, now watch this. And Samuel was laid down to sleep. And the Lord called Samuel, and he said, here am I. Then he ran to Eli. The lamp went out. Why did they reveal to us that they had a lamp in there to shine a light on the ark? Now remember, what's in the ark is the glory of God. Or it's supposed to be where the glory of God is and where the mercy seat's sitting in between. Remember that, right? So I'm sitting up here and I'm thinking, I'm like, the hell did they need a lamp in there where the ark of the Lord was? God glory shines. I done seen God glory shining on other men. And when I say it's a bright light, you can see it. It's literally a light. Literally a light, and it shines. That spirit with the black face that show up when the darkness is removed, he shines bright like a light. These angels that show up sometimes, when the fire beat from around them, it's a shine there. Now remember, this is where the presence of the Lord was. But let's listen to what it said before this. Let's listen to verse 1. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no visions. When you have a vision, you can see. So that means there's light in there, right? But there was no visions. And it came to pass at the time when Eli was laid down in his place,